welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll see how to complete this challenge lab, Networking Fundamentals on Google Cloud. This is a 1-hour challenge lab. In this lab we will see how to create multiple web server instances, how to configure the HTTP load balancer, and how to configure the load balancing service. So let's start the lab. Here are some standards you need to follow. So in your lab, whatever region and the zone you get, you have to ensure that you create all the resources in that specific region and zone. So here I have got US Central 1 region. So I'll be creating all the resources in this specific region. In task 1, we need to create multiple web server instances. Default network is already created. Without a VPC network, we won't be able to create any resources in cloud. So here we need to create 3 VM instances. VM instance 1 should be named as Web 1, VM instance 2 should be named as Web 2, VM instance 3 should be named as Web 3. And this all these 3 instances has to be created in region US Central 1, and zone needs to be selected as US Central 1-B. And the machine series will be E2, machine type will be E2 small, and the network tags we need to add this, and the image family Debian 11 we need to select. Once the instance is created, this script needs to be executed on that instance. So this script will install Apache on each of the server. So let's create all of these instances. So this is a GitHub link. So here I have updated all the steps which is required to be executed in this lab. First, let's set the environment variables. So I'll be exporting region and zone. Since we'll be using this across other tasks, I'll be exporting these variables. So let's go to console here. Let's activate the Cloud Shell. I will open this in new window. So let's copy this, and in a Cloud Shell, let's execute it. So that is done. Next, we will be executing this command, gcloud compute instances create web1. So this is the instance name, and here we are passing the zone, and the machine type will be E2 small, and the tags I am passing this tag name. So this machine should have this network tag, and the image family will be Debian 11. Image project we are passing it as Debian Cloud, and metadata, under metadata we are passing that startup script. What this script does is it will install an Apache on this instance. Let me copy this, go back to Cloud Shell, execute it here. You should get this output. So here you get the instance name and in which zone it is created, machine type of that instance, and once the instance is created it will assign internal and external IP address for that instance, and you can see the status is running. So next we need to create the second instance. So the configuration remains same for the second instance as well. So let's execute this. Only the name will change, that is Web2. So even now this instance is created. Let me clear the screen. So next I will be executing the third command, which will create third instance. It will create third instance by the name Web3. Now the status is running. So once that instance is created, we need to create a firewall rule. So I'll be executing this command, gcloud compute followed by firewall rules create, and the firewall rule name will be this, and we will be assigning the TCP port 80 and the tags. So this is a tag, so we'll be attaching this tag to this firewall rule. So let's copy this command. So now you can see it's creating the firewall rule. So once the firewall rule is created, you can find the details of the firewall rule here. The firewall rule name, network, so it will use the default network, and the direction is ingress, priority it has assigned 1000, and TCP port 80. So once this is done, you can go back here and you can click on check my progress. So this is complete. Let's proceed ahead with the task 2, configure the load balancing service. For this task you need to create the resources that support the load balancing service. So all the resources we need to create it. They don't specify what all needs to be created here, because this is a challenge lab. We have to figure out what all resources has to be created for this load balancing service. So these are few of the configuration which they have mentioned. Set the following values, leaving all others at their defaults. So here they have mentioned static external IP, which means we need to create a static external IP address, and we need to create a target pool by the name www-pool, and we have to use the port 80. Once the load balancing service is configured, start sending traffic to the forwarding rule and watch the traffic be dispersed to different instances. So let me take you to this GitHub. So this is task to configure the load balancing service. First we need to create the static external IP address. So we will be executing this command gcloud compute addresses. So we have to pass addresses flag here. Then we are creating external IP address with this name. So this is the name they have mentioned here. So we need to create with this name, and in which region we are creating this, that we need to specify. That is very important. So let's copy this. So since I have exported this region as a variable, it will pick the value from there and it will create this external IP address in that specific region. So let's copy this command, go back to Cloud Shell, execute it here. You should get this message created. If you get any error, you need to fix that error and you need to create it. Next we need to create a health check. So for load balancing, health check is very important. So this is one of the important thing which we need to create. So we need to execute command gcloud compute http-health checks create basic check. So this is a health check name. So this is a syntax. Let's copy this command. It has created health check by a basic check. It has assigned port 80, request path is /. Once that is done, we need to create a target pool by the name www-pool. So for that we need to execute this command gcloud compute target-pools, create target pool name and the region, and we should add this health check to that target pool. So we have already created this health check in the previous task and we are adding to this. So let's copy this command. So here you can see a target pool is created in US Central 1 region, and it is having this health check basic-check being assigned to that. So once that is done, we need to add instances into the target pool. So now the target pool is created. Main purpose of target pool is to have instances inside that. We will be assigning this target pool as a backend pool for the load balancer for it to redirect the traffic to the pools. So that pool should contain the instances where it has to redirect the traffic. So for that we need to add the instances. So here we will be executing the command gcloud compute target pools add instances and the target pool name and what instances we are adding to the target pool. So these are the instance which we have created in the task 1, so that we are adding here. So let's copy this command, go back to Cloud Shell. So now it's updated. Next we need to create a forwarding rules. So we need to execute this command gcloud compute followed by forwarding rule. So we are creating www-rule and the region we are specifying, and the ports is 80 address. We are specifying that static IP address which we had created, and the target pool we are providing it here. So let's copy this command. So now it has created the forwarding rule. So now we have completed task 2. We have configured the load balancing service. So all these services were required to support the load balancing service. Once you are done with that, you can click on check my progress. This should be complete. So now it's complete. Now let's proceed ahead with the task 3. Create an HTTP load balancer. For this task, you need to create resources for the HTTP load balancer. In this task, we will be creating resources for HTTP load balancer. So here we need to create a backend template. Then we need to create a managed instance group, and they have provided image family and image project to be used, and we need to create forward allow health check rule. A URL map we need to create, HTTP proxy. So we need to create a backend template. To create a backend template, this is a command which we need to execute here. Gcloud compute instance template is a command syntax followed by create and the template name. So template name, whatever they have specified here, so that I am referring in this. And the region and the network, it will be using the default network. See, for any resource, network is very important. Without VPC network, you cannot create any resource. So this is very important. You have to specify network, region, subnet. These are all very important. And then we are adding the tag. So we had already created this allow health check, so that we are adding here. And the machine type will be E2 medium. Image family will be Debian 11. Image project they have mentioned Debian Cloud. And startup script, we are executing a startup script to install Apache 2. Let's copy this, go back to Cloud Shell. Let's execute this command here. So now it has created the backend template. Let me clear this screen. Let's go back. Next we need to create managed instance group. Managed instance group is very important to manage the instances. So we will be creating a managed instance group. Gcloud compute instance group manage create. So this is the managed instance group name, lb-backend-group. So here they have provided the name. Then we are passing the template. This is the template name which we had created earlier, and the size we are specifying it as 2, and we are passing the zone. So let's copy this command. Now it has created the managed instance group in the location US Central B. So if one instance in this managed instance group goes down, it will automatically bring up another instance. Next we need to create a firewall rule. So we need to execute this command gcloud compute firewall rules, create firewall rule name, and then we need to pass the network flag here. In the direction is ingress. Source range they have mentioned here. This is the firewall lcheck name, and this is the allow source ranges, and the traffic they have mentioned it as ingress, and the port is 80. So the source range I have copied it here. Target tags I have added this allow health check. Under rules I have added TCP port 80. So let's copy this command. It's creating that firewall rule. Now it is complete. Next we need to create an external IP address. So here they have specified external IP address in this task. So we will be creating this external IP address here by executing this command gcloud compute address create external IP address name, and the IP version will be IPv4, and it will be a global. So let's copy this command. It is created now. Next we need to create the health check. So for every load balancer we should have a health check created. So here they have mentioned HTTP basic check, so that we need to create. So I am giving the same name here, and the port is 80. So let's copy this command. The command syntax is very straightforward. You will be able to understand it. Just know what each resources are meant for. So it's very important to understand when you are doing the lab. So now the health check is created. Next we need to create a backend service. Gcloud compute backend service create, and the backend service name is web-backend-service. So for load balancer, backend service is very important. So we are creating this backend service here, and the protocol we are passing it as HTTP. Port name will be HTTP health checks. We are passing the HTTP basic check. So the one which we had created in the previous step. So let's copy this command. You can refer to my whole video on this networking, where I have shown how to create all these resources in the console. Next we need to attach instance group to the backend service. So we will be executing this command gcloud compute backend service add backend service name, and the instance group. This instance group will be attaching, and this instance group is having instances inside that. let's copy this command. So now it's updated. Let's go back. Next we need to create the URL maps. So here, so if you come back here, they have specified this URL map name web-map-http. So that we will be creating here by executing this command gcloud compute URL maps create and the URL map name and the service we need to pass this backend service name which we have created. So let's copy this command. It has created the URL map and it is using this web backend service. I'll be clearing the screen. Next we need to create the HTTP proxy. So target HTTP proxy name should be http-lb-proxy, so that we are creating here gcloud compute target HTTP proxy create and the proxy name and the URL map. So all these services are linked. We have to create each of these resources for the HTTP load balancer to function properly. So ensure that you don't miss any of this step. So let's copy this command. So now it has created. As a last step, we need to create a forwarding rules. So we need to execute this command gcloud compute forwarding rules, and we'll be creating this rule by this name http-content-rule, and the address we are passing this IP address here, whatever we had created. So that address we are passing here, and the target will be this http-lb-proxy. So in the previous test we had created this HTTP proxy that we are adding it here, and the port I'm specifying it as 80. So let's copy this command. So now it's created. So we have created all the resources which is required for HTTP load balancer. So you can click on check my progress. This should be complete now. So next we need to test traffic sent to the instances. In the console from the navigation menu, go to network services load balancing. Click on the load balancer that you just created. To verify that the VMs are available, test the load balancer using a web browser. Navigate to HTTP and replace IP address with the load balancer's IP address. So let's test this one. You can click on load balancing here. So this is a load balancer which we had created. So this is having one backend service, one instance group attached. So you can click on this. So you can find the details about this load balancer here. So this is having web backend service. Endpoint protocol is HTTP. Health check is having HTTP. Basic check we had attached it. So this is having this backend group. And under health check it is showing status as green. So health check is good. So here under forwarding rules you can see this HTTP content rule. So we had created forwarding rule, right, that it is listing here. So you can copy this IP address of this load balancer. In a web browser you can just type it. So you should get this message, page served from LB backend group. So if you refresh this, so now you are getting this message. So we are having two instances. So this is how it's load balancing. So when you keep on hitting it, you get different messages every time. So every time it will serve from different instance. This page is served from another instance. So if we again refresh, this we are getting from another instance. So that's how you check it. So once you complete all the tasks in this lab, you will get 100 out of 100 year points for this lab. Once you complete this lab, you get this skill badge, networking fundamentals on Google Cloud. I have just explained what was required as part of this challenge lab and how to complete this challenge lab. So if you need more details about how each service work, and if you want me to make a video on that, you can comment it under comments section. I will make a video on the same. I'll be posting this GitHub link under video description, so you can refer to this link and you can perform this lab. So once you're done with this lab, you can click on End Lab. If you face any issues or difficulties, please let me know under comment section. I will be happy to help you. If you found my video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel and stay up to date with the latest content on this channel. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video.